Good evening and welcome to the Garnet Fire informational meeting for Monday, September 15th. My name is Nathan Judy, Information Officer for Interagency California Team 5. I'll be your facilitator for tonight's meeting. Like always, we'll be answering questions after the formal presentation of the meeting that you emailed earlier. Currently, the acreage of the fire is 59,531. 73% contained, 2,268 personnel on the fire. This evening you're going to hear from members of our Incident Command Team and forest staff. First off this evening we're going to get it kicked off with our Operational Section Chief, Chad Costa.
Hey, good afternoon everybody. Just got off a flight, so I'll give you an update of what's going on out there. I'll start down in the Kings River and what we're calling Division Whiskey. Don't see any smokes at all along the Whiskey. We came around through Balch Camp and flew Dinky Creek all the way up. Didn't see any smokes at all. Everything looks really good. As we turn the corner here and take this hand line up to Cicada Ridge, we had crews in there. They actually fly in on a helicopter and then hike down all the way to the river and then work their way back up. That's looking real good. I expect containment on this piece tonight or tomorrow's shift. As they go back on Cicada Ridge and head north through Finch Meadow, everything in what we're calling Division Delta and Gulf looks really good. When we get up into Finch Meadow, from Finch Meadow, we still have quite a bit of heat in here. Everything that all the hard work we've been doing in here for the last multiple shifts looks really good, but there's quite a bit of crews you're going to see on if you're out there on the north end, all the way up to McKinley Grove Road and down McKinley Grove Road where we fired a couple days ago. So when I flew this, what you'll notice up there today is it's a lot warmer. There is sun on the fire, so it's gonna be producing quite a bit more smoke, especially down in these drainages in Dinky Creek, Laurel Creek, Bear Creek, but nothing close to the line, so still feeling really good about it. As we continue down McKinley Grove Road, it was smoky in here, definitely talking to the crews on the ground, kind of showing them where those heat signatures were, but nothing close to the line, just again, we got quite a bit more work now that it's hotter up there. And all the way down, actually, through what we're calling Oscar, down into Drop Point 50, down towards Washon. Quite a bit of smokes in there, 500, 300, 500 feet from the line. So for the next couple shifts, that's going to be a heavy focus, really where the power lines come across here to the north, all the way across to Bear Meadow. That's kind of what I'm calling the north side of the fire, and that's where all the work is right now. Once you get south of the power lines, looking really good all the way down through Quebec and Tango on the east side of the fire. Actually looked really, really good in Tango all the way down, back down to the Kings. So overall, we're going to be heavily focused on the north. And then all the operations on the west side of the fire and the south side of the fire is really starting to transition to that suppression repair, which you've been hearing us talk about. And I expect as we order the resources for suppression repair, I expect us to really start making some progress with that and really focus our firefighters on the north side of the fire. So good day out there and quite a bit of work to do, but we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate that information, especially on that smoke within the interior, well within the interior of the fire. Next, we're going to have our fire behavior analyst, Kevin Montoya.
Good evening. All right, so tonight I'm going to start out with the weather makers and talking about the weather. So that hot, dry trend is going to continue over the next few days. Temperatures are going to get up. On the matrix, it shows 82, but in those lower elevations, it could get well into the 90s. Our humidities are going to continue to drop down into the 20s, and we're predicting maybe down into the teens tomorrow, again, at those lower elevations. But today, even at the higher elevations where the fire became active, they saw humidity levels that were starting to get into the 20s and sunshine up there there as well. The big change that's on the forecast is the chance of getting a little bit of an influx of tropical moisture, maybe in that Thursday range, with maybe even a little bit of precipitation happening Thursday night, maybe into Friday. But as we go into the weekend, we'll start to have warmer temperatures again. Maybe not quite as hot as we see today, but that warming trend is going to start up again. On the fire behavior side of the shop, not a whole lot of the landscape has fire in it. Can we get the map? Oh, here we go. Not a whole lot of the landscape has fire in it, so you're going to be pretty short for me tonight. But I did want to talk about smoke production. So today on the cameras, or if you looked outside, you see a large column instead of just smoke, and that's because the humidity levels have dropped and the sun is able to get on those fuels, and those larger logs that were struggling to carry fire in the high humidity are now able to burn actively. And you're going to see the larger column for probably another day, as this area in the Dinky Creek, Laurel Creek area, the firing operations are going to continue to gain depth and burn up the unburned area. It's all well within the line. It's part of the plan, but you're going to continue to see that column for another day or so. As far as smoke throughout the fire, as those heavier deadened down logs, those bigger fuels continue to consume, you're probably going to see some smoke in the air through the duration of the incident. That's all for fire behavior.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. Next up, your forest supervisor from the Sierra National Forest, Dean Gould.
All right, good evening, everybody, and thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. As far as what's going on with the incident right now, some of the highlights, a lot going on with the team. You might think that the suppression, when this is really at its peak, that's the toughest part, and that may very well be, and it certainly is in a lot of aspects. Right now is a uniquely difficult time of the incident as well for the incident management team and all the firefighters involved, because there's so many different things going on right now. There's so much transition. We still have suppression to deal with up in that north and northwest section of the incident. There is still active fire there, so that still has to be dealt with. We are really getting deeply into the suppression repair aspect of this, so all that's going on. There's a lot of resources that are not mission essential to the incident right now, and those are being demobilized. A lot of firefighting personnel, and so that's happening. We're looking at different locations for camp consolidation and the movement that would take place with that. So all those moving pieces happening simultaneously, very, very challenging. Team 5 is doing a fantastic job of facilitating that, kind of like the conductor of the orchestra, really keeping all the pieces in just the right place at the right time. So a lot of really good work on behalf of the team. So thank you again for joining us. There will be a public meeting at Shaver. I think, is that going to be announced?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll leave that to the MC, but do hope to see you there in person as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Gould. Next up, Deputy Incident Commander Alex McBeth.
Good evening, everybody. I want to give you some updated numbers for today. We're sitting at 59,531 acres, 73% contained, with 2,268 personnel actively fighting this fire. Okay, you heard Dean. There's a lot of complexity still. The team is still engaged, heavily engaged. We're dealing with a lot of logistical issues around the feeding and getting folks back and forth across the fires. So we're looking at how we have our camp set up, as Dean stated earlier. This is normal. This is normal for the team, and our team has done this quite a bit. We don't sit on our hands. When we see that things need to happen in the next couple of days, we start planning ahead of time. And so this is all choreographed. It's expected, and we expect to see a lot more demobilization in the next few days. Now I want to talk a little bit about the fire. With these hotter temperatures, you are going to see more smoke. Right behind these hotter temperatures are cooling temperatures. So we like to see the warmer temperatures, the lower RHs, so that we can test our lines. We can make sure that our lines are going to hold. And then the cooler temperatures right behind these will settle it back down, the smoke will disperse, and hopefully that'll stay stagnant for some time after that. So for the fire side of things and the suppression side, we're looking really good. For the repair side, we're just getting started, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. And that concludes the formal presentation of this evening. Next, we'll get into your questions and answers that you emailed to us earlier. With that, we have a lot of questions for the forest, so we'll go ahead and bring back up for Supervisor Gould.
All right. I do have a couple pages of questions here, but some are, it looks like some are pretty similar, so we'll address them one at a time and get you your answers as best as I can. All right, number one, we and a few others have spaces that we use every year on private property along Dinky Creek Road. We left our camper trailer there in July. I believe it is area K29. Do you believe that the area will... And then a couple follow-ons to it. Do you believe that the area will be open for hunting this opening weekend or this season? And what areas do you anticipate being open this weekend? And then part two to that, if hunting is not an option there for us, will we be allowed to enter to remove our camper, trailer, and belongings? Our site is about 20 yards from the road. Okay. All right. So with regard to that area is not currently open. I did speak with county representatives, sheriff's office representatives about this previously, and at this point it really is day to day. I think we know that northwest area, which is right below Dinky, that is really the last most active portion of that, and so do know that may be one of the ones that is going to take a little bit of time to go ahead and get that buttoned up and for us to let folks get in. I've mentioned on previous evenings that we're sensitive to that. We know, keenly aware of hunting season, want to get folks in as quickly as possible to as much of the forest as possible for that activity. And so I would suggest that you stay in touch with the High Sierra Ranger District front desk or the liaison office here. I think the contact information will be available. Again, they will have that available for you on a day-to-day basis, but I would literally check with either the front desk at High Sierra and or the incident team here regularly. I know you have to plan ahead. It takes time to load up, pack up, make your personal arrangements and so forth, and so fully understand on that. At this point, we don't have a firm date to give you, though. I'm sorry for that. All right, number two is McKinley Grove Road expected to reopen within the next 2 to 3 weeks? And will hunters still have time to access the area this season? All right. So McKinley Grove Road, awful lot of activity going on up there as well. You heard there's still still activity with the giant sequoias, still buttoning that up, still dealing with some hazard trees there. That is certainly a major thoroughfare to get through a good portion of the forest. We're going to have to, again, stay in tune on a daily basis and make sure that we get you the latest information as quick as we can. So, again, that's a day-to-day issue there. Now, this one's a bit broader. When will the forest be open to the public again? And does it usually reopen before the fire is fully contained? Okay, well, I can't make assumptions on the intent behind the question. I just have to take it the way it's written. And it says, when will the forest be open? And of course, I think we all understand right now that the majority of the forest is indeed open. This partial forest closure is centric to the Garnet Fire footprint, a bit beyond that, again, to match up with the sheriff's office and their evacuation orders. And so as far as this season and opening it up, I've mentioned previously, we're going to follow along with the sheriff's office as close as we possibly can. When they make adjustments to the mandatory evacuation areas, we're going to try and track right along with that as best we can with the forest closure order. Just realize We're addressing different things, though. There's very different purposes for why the evacuation orders are in place as opposed to the forest closure orders. I'll speak to the forest closure orders. That's, the land management aspect of it. And so there's things going on in the land that are our responsibility, that we need to make sure it's safe for the public to go back in there. And so, there's two different orders in place there covering, different responsibilities and things that folks need to be mindful of. So let's see. So when will the forest be open? Again, the majority of it right now is. The balance affected by Garnet fire, that's going to be a piece at a time. I vowed, and I'll hold true to that. I'm not going to wait till the whole thing is ready. We're going to piece by piece open each piece up as quickly and effectively as we can. All right. Let's see. A resident of Balch Camp, is there a certain containment percentage that has to be reached before non-essential residents can return home? Not to my knowledge. Again, I would pose that question to the sheriff's office, but no. That is something that is affected by the sheriff's either mandatory evacuation orders or their warnings. And so that I do not know of a containment percentage per se that would be a driver for that. Okay, let's see. The next one, recovery plans and timber removal. All right. Let's see. There's a few parts to this one. What are the limits on removing timber from the Sierra National Forest? Plans call for about 22 million board feet a year. True. Thank you for researching that. But after the Garnet fire, the focus is on salvaging burned timber. Also true. Okay, so as far as the limits go, yes, our plan does call for that ballpark amount that you mentioned, the 22 million, right in there. However, when it comes to salvage, there is not a limit, and understandably so, because depending on the size of the incident, the amount of timber, you don't want to have that limit in place for that, something that's so time sensitive, where if you wait a year or two, its merchantability, its ability to be used as saw timber is likely lost. And so we really need to get as much of it out as fast as we can, and that is indeed going to be our focus for fiscal year 26. Let's see. Next related question, can timber still be taken from the green forest as planned with additional salvage from the burned area? Yes, absolutely. I want you to volunteer to help us out here because you're on top of your game. You're asking excellent questions. So as far as that goes, yes, I mentioned previously that the projects that we had planned for 26, Francis Junction, Central Camp, and Kaiser East, 2 on Bass Lake, 1 on High Sierra District, those are ones that we're still going to try to accommodate, even in the midst of all the salvage project work that's going to be taking place. Yes, we certainly can. It's just going to be a matter of capacity, and also we're going to have to get some estimates back as to what we think that salvage timber volume is going to be. There is a limit with industry as well in terms of the maximum that they're going to be able to take at any one time. We're certainly going to get as much out as fast as we can, to be sure. Let's see. Are there any other legal or other types of constraints? What are they? I wouldn't necessarily call them constraints. They're laws, and policy and so forth. But just to name a few, NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act, that is the purpose of that is for public participation, to have a say on how public lands are managed. And so that was passed some time ago to increase public participation and to have a say. So that is one, and that does take time. It does. It has tremendous benefits, but it also adds time. Endangered Species Act. Listed species, things that we need to address, get consultation on. There are ways to expedite some things, but it also is something that, as act, that's law, we do have to take that into consideration. National Historic Preservation Act, NHPA. When we're looking at the historic aspects of things, archaeological, cultural, those are things that, yes, we have to address those. Even though we're in a hurry, we can't skip that. We still have to abide by those laws. And there's many others. Those are just to name a few, and to give you a flavor that, yes, we do have some new authorities. We do have some increased abilities to expedite things, and there still are some foundational laws that we need to abide by. Let's see. Okay. All right, next one. Last one. I do have a question regarding lessons learned from previous incidents, specifically the Rough Fire 2015 and Creek Fire 2020. Locals were promised that lessons would be learned, but now with Garnet Fire, we're seeing similar outcomes. All right. Well, as far as lessons learned, I would say one of the biggest takeaways that I took, particularly from Rough Fire and Creek Fire, were that no modeling we had, no matter what run, what parameters we put in, would have predicted the type of behavior. For example, Rough Fire, predicting that it was going to hop the river and get over to the south side. That was not predicted. It was a fraction of 1% on the model run that we did. And similarly with Creek, when it made that major run across the forest up to the Bass Lake District, no model run predicted that whatsoever. And so relating that to Garnet, I think you have to make some distinctions there. Creek Fire was 380,000 plus acres. Garnet Fire were a little bit shy of 60. So certainly there's an order of magnitude difference there. But in terms of fire behavior, we did have kind of a scaled down version of that unpredictable behavior that modeling wouldn't have called out, at least not accurately. And that is when on the Garnet, we did have that 12,000 acre run on that one day. And that happened in the span of about 12 hours, or no, that was about 4 hours that occurred. Our model run for that said that that would have taken about 2 to 3 days to cover that same amount of ground. So that's one of the biggest takeaways that we have, that now we have certainly multiple instances now, multiple fires, some different locations, different behaviors, very different sizes, and yet we're saying that the modeling that we have is not as accurate as we would like it to be. That's one of the biggest takeaways. All right. Then the follow-on bullet to that, what specific accountability measures are in place for leadership to ensure that this cycle doesn't repeat? Or is it time to consider a change in leadership at the Sierra National Forest? All right, so in terms of this type of behavior repeating, we understand that when we have hundreds of lightning strikes on the forest in any given year, there are going to be starts. And do know that on the Sierra National Forest, we're particularly proud of our response to those, well into the 90% success rate, high 90s in terms of on initial attack, catching those lightning starts. So that is something we will strive for 100%, clearly, obviously, and we will continue to strive for that. However, every year, this year has been particularly problematic with the thunderstorms that have come through, and we have brought on extra teams to respond to them. I mentioned the Type 3 team that we brought on just for lightning, in addition to the Garnet, and so we are taking additional steps. We are adjusting to the behavior that's occurring out there. As far as the leadership, okay, fair question. What I would encourage is anybody who wants to know more about the management of the Sierra National Forest, give me a call. Let's have a chat, and I would be glad to go over with you everything that's involved in managing the Sierra National Forest. And I think you're going to find there's far more complexity to it than you likely ever imagined. And I'm also going to see maybe something might help is I'll reach out to some of the collaborators that we deal with on a regular basis and get their take on the situation as well. But the bottom line is, this is very much, a group effort, and without the collaborators, without the stakeholders, we would have a challenge, to be sure. And ultimately, it comes down to funding. If you look at the funding that the Sierra National Forest has received post-Creek Fire, I'll be glad to account for every dollar of how that's been spent, and we can show you the fantastic progress that's been made with that, the treatments that have been put in place, the improvements that have been put in place, the new roads that have been put in place. Just to be clear, it's over $100 million in infrastructure improvements. There is no other forest that you're going to find that has done that much over that span of time. We're at the absolute top. So knowing things like that, you might want to check and see, how are we doing all this? How are we getting so much done here on the Sierra? I would love to have that discussion with you. So with that, I think that's all the questions.
Thank you, Supervisor. Yep, that's all the questions for tonight. So the couple questions that Dean was asking about, or you guys had sent in, were about access to the warning orders and warning areas. So the team itself, the operations section chief, will give recommendations to the Sheriff's Department about if they want to reduce an order or take out a warning. They give that recommendation to the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's Office is ultimately the one that makes that decision. And we will bring in the Sheriff on the next meeting that we're going to have. Dean also talked about reaching out to liaison officer for the team for access for those folks for the trailer. So you can email us. That's at the 2025.garnet.california@firenet.com or firenet.gov. So go ahead and email us that if you need talk to our liaison officer to get in those areas along with the Sheriff's Department. They will work together to make sure people can try to get in there once it's safe to do so. For our public meetings, the virtual ones, this is one we're having today, of course. We're going to have an in-person and virtual Wednesday at 6 o'clock. We're going to take a break for tomorrow, so we won't have a virtual meeting tomorrow, just so you folks know. But again, we're going to pick it back up on Wednesday. It's going to be in person at the Shaver Lake Community Center. That's at 41344 Toll House Road, 6 o'clock. If you want to come in and join us in person, or again, it's going to be virtual, so you'll be able to watch it online on Facebook and our YouTube account. Then we're going to take Thursday off. Then we're going to pick it back up on Friday. We'll take Saturday off and pick it back up again on Sunday. So we're going to take a couple days off, let our folks rest, get them back out there on the line so they don't have to keep running in here. And as our Chad talked about earlier, he gets off that plane, runs in here and gives you guys an update. So we'll take a couple days off. But with that, we thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate your patience with us. Appreciate your viewing. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all on Wednesday.